Сквотинг есть, проблем много, в частности с ментами и всякими другими уродами. Против капитализма.
Нас возмущает то, что кто-то должен работать, чтобы хоть как-то выжить где-то. А очень много зданий пустует. Пустующие здания есть, которые, в принципе, люди могли бы сообща отремонтировать и жить там. И, как бы, я думаю, польза была бы и всем, потому что здания бы не рушились, там бы не образовывались притоны для наркоманов, там бы не происходил какой-то беспредел, а просто жили бы люди, которым негде жить.
В основном это отдельные группы по общению группируются и занимают здания. Нет такого массива, чтобы сквотерского движения.
Можно сказать, что нелегален сквотинг, потому что как бы захват частной собственности и все такое. Но есть закон, что если ты в течение 15 лет проживаешь в каком-то здании, ухаживаешь за ним, ремонтируешь, то после 15 лет оно может перейти в твою собственность, если ты докажешь, что ты с ним там хорошо обращался, ремонтировал, и если не объявится хозяин. Ну, как бы 15 лет продержаться в здании — это практически нереально.
Это было бомбоубежище, было 3 комнаты. Оно было затоплено, но мы выкачали воду и потом начали его обустраивать. Там был диван, компьютер, холодильник, микроволновая печь. Все мы как-то, где-то находили.
Ну да, за бесплатно, как правило.
Да, вот. Потом, в Новый год, после Нового года, приехали менты, украли у нас ключ. Вот. Мы ушли. Нас не приняли. Потом, через пару дней приходим, все вещи, которые были, и барабанная установка, украдены.
То есть вплоть до всякой ржавой проволоки забрали все абсолютно. Какие-то
еще
провода, непонятно что.
по поводу защиты. Защита была прекрасна. 2 вакуумных двери, одна дверь сварена была из рельс. Вот, и еще одна дверь с замком. Был домофон, планировалось поставить камеры, детектор движения, но, опять же,
Не успели.
2
года 2, наверное, существовал, но там жить еще было не очень удобно, потому что там была большая влажность и холодно. Но несколько человек там жило. В Питере сквотировали. То есть там было даже несколько сквотов, и довольно успешно там проводили концерты, различные мероприятия, в том числе, по-моему, «Черный Петроград». То есть уже в том году был сквот в Минске. И вот у них, наверное, сегодня презентация фильма, который тоже скоро можно будет найти в сети. В Воронеже, насколько я помню, был сквот. В Калининграде. Там такой какой-то полупанковский, полупьяный сквот.
На законы влиять, по-моему, бессмысленно, потому что это все равно там, где крутятся деньги, там, соответственно, очень трудно что-то сделать. А так, вот сейчас занимаемся новым сквотом, допустим.
До этого был плохой опыт с предыдущим сквотом, поэтому после летнего какого-то перерыва мы начали искать здания. По большому множеству заброшенных зданий решили остановиться на этом. То есть тут более подходила обстановка, то есть была дверь, и не нужно было каких-то ремонтных работ, чтобы тут облагородить это место. И остановились на этом. За какой-то короткий промежуток натащили сюда диван, запенили окна. Прошло пару собраний на какие-то активистские темы, несколько ночлежек, и когда ударили морозы, какое-то времяпровождение на этом сквоту остановилось. Я пытался найти какую-то информацию о здании, но я так считаю, что здание стоит, мне кажется, оно еще до войны было построено. Много лет в таком состоянии, в заброшенном состоянии, я думаю, десяток лет оно точно тут стоит. Я думаю, что ничего тут не планируют делать, куда-нибудь будет просто отстаиваться. Когда я начинал увлекаться этим сквотерством, входить в эту культуру, искать заброшенные здания, мне почему-то казалось, что их в Москве вообще нет. Но сейчас, ездя, конечно, по городу, их просто масса. То есть я очень много зданий знаю, бесхозных, особенно в центре города. По большому счету, именно сквотов, где можно пойти, и он не разрушен, то есть именно действует. Вот только вот наш и еще один, только он пропален милицией, и туда входить довольно-таки проблематично стало со временем. Хотя прожил он довольно долгое время и, наверное, один из самых таких активных в Москве был Сквотингом, ну, по сути, занимаются анархисты, панки, ну, которых я знаю, может быть, кто-то еще интересуется этим. Но если люди интересуются этим, наверное, им близки анархические взгляды на жизнь. Но это с любой стороны актуально. Для России, наверное, это в первую очередь актуально, потому что в Европе более приспособлены к жизни для бедных людей. То есть у нас каждую зиму умирают сотни бомжей. Вот мы занимаемся также фудсноубом и видим, то есть люди живут просто на улице в морозы лютые. И, естественно, им лучше жить в каких-то зданиях. Ну, это говоря непосредственно о бездомных. Ну и о людях, которые просто нуждаются в жилье, обычно теме сквотерства, то есть пустуют дома, а людям негде жить. О какой-то правовой борьбе или тому подобного в России, наверное, еще далеко до такого.
In the Netherlands, it is legal. If you want to squat something, you can squat it after it is not in use for like 1 year. So if it's empty for 1 year, you can squat it. The only thing you have to do is enter the building and make sure that no one else can enter it. So by putting a new lock in, for example, or barricade it.
Nou, hier is dus de deur, hier komen we binnen. Dan heb je hier een deur die gaat naar het oude deel. Die sluiten we dus af.
Ja.
Hier een keukentje en een wc. Hier een grote muur met een schuifdeur. En dan kun je dus hier de schuifdeur hierin. En dan heb je hier nog een deur die naar een hele grote schuur gaat, die hier staat. Die moeten we ook afsluiten. En ja, deze deur is dus gewoon de hoofdingang. Het belangrijkste is dat die open en dicht kan blijven gaan, maar dat die wel afsluitbaar is.
We are the only people who can speak to the police.
Yeah. Okay. Police ask something to you, just say speak to us.
So they said, okay guys, success.
So now it's okay, they said this.
Of course, it's a helpful way for people who need a place that they can squat. But it's also to make social centers to combine other ways of activistical stuff and make sure that you connect with other people. It's a good way to communicate and to make like a basis for doing other kind of protests and stuff like that.
Squads and social centers are working on an infrastructure on a local level and getting people from all over the country or the world to talk about subjects and to get people active and to make people aware about things. This is the H5 festival. This is the 4th year that it's organized. It's a festival for activists and people who want to change the world. And it's a festival to get people together from different struggles, different backgrounds. This year we wanted to talk mainly about work, labor, housing, living together and having collective solutions about how to deal with income and work and living. So we have different workshops about collective living, collective working, syndicalism. Also really interesting, NATO burst coming up, so we wanted to have something about NATO to help with the mobilization for the anti-NATO protests. And we have some workshops about immigration, since it's also like connected with the struggle, with worker struggle. 4 years ago it started with a group who was busy together with organizing discussion evenings and talk about how can we make something constructive, and they came with a festival. First year it was in Utrecht, and there people, local people, activists joined them. Later on it was in Nijmegen, and so people from Nijmegen got involved as well, and so people from Utrecht stick to it, and people from all over the country. This year they asked people from Den Bosch, hey, what about having this in Den Bosch? And so people who were active here on different things like squatters and other activists start working with it and start to get involved in the program. So it's just a broad variation of activists from the Netherlands. You're working on a local infrastructure, and like all the places together, it's on a event as this, different places like those are coming together again. And so it's putting those local structures together in a bigger structure. It's a door prize for €5 for the people who can afford it. We hope we can cover the costs with that. Otherwise, it's like different places like social centers and other places who have money or who give away subsidies. We ask them for money if it's necessary, but we hope we can cover the costs with like the door money. I think it's important to have such festivals, to have places where you come together and talk about different subjects, to meet people who are from the other side of the country, who are active with the same things, or people who are active with other subjects with the same ideas, the same bigger idea about society, about how to deal with the world, and to come together and find things, find connections. I think that's the most important thing about a festival like this.
This is squatted for like 3.5 years now.
And how many people live here?
They're living 7 people almost every time. So it depends on, sometimes someone is leaving, then it takes a while for someone coming back.
Is it like kind of art or activist community?
Yeah, there are living a lot of artists in this house, and also a lot of people living here are active in other ways of squatting. I'm also studying law, Dutch law, so helping people who are arrested by giving them advice or going to a lawyer and talk with them and having a good plan to make sure the people are not sentenced to jail, for example, that they are set free and stuff like that. I think that's the thing that I really like about activism. So I like to talk about it and make sure that plans are really good organized. They are organized well, so the chance of being arrested and sentenced to jail are less bigger. And you have also talking with press, for example, is one thing I really think is important, and I also like to do, and writing letters to the press about actions. This is the working space. You can see a lot of stuff is going on. We have a lot of artists working here. We also use it for giving parties and stuff like that, celebrating birthdays, doing stuff. Up here, we made also, there was nothing. What you see was there already, but inside it was just empty. And we made a new floor, and there are 2 rooms now. Our living room. As you can see, we have 2 heaters, one for wood and there's one for gas. We used to have a central heating system, but it costs really a lot, and I can show you when we go there. It's a really big thing, so it's really bad for the environment. So we just do it on those small things. In your own room, you can just put an extra trouser on and go in bed, and it's warm enough. So it's a really big thing. It's taking too much energy to heat up the place. You can see the pipes are too big. A lot of buildings there is no shower, so we made it. We even have a bathtub. It's really nice, also in the winter times, to have a warm bath.
So there was no shower here?
No, we built this. There were like man toilets hanging here. The buckets, so we just made this wall and all the water thing. More of the kitchen is here. We have a really big kitchen. Here it used to be a bar, we just rebuilt it to a kitchen. And this is our cooking kitchen. So this was just the party area for the community, and they had a lot of weddings here. This was the bar.
What kind of religious community maybe?
No, not really religious, just everyone could do stuff here. And they had also like, they could play games here and stuff like that. And bingo, yeah. So, and it doesn't cost a lot to build this, it's just that if you just are searching for stuff, you can get a lot of things for free, or cheap, so you just have to look good and search good. I help in the squatting info hour, KZU we call it in Dutch. We help people squatting. It's not that we squat something and they can move in, but it's that they are squatting something and we help them. Because it wouldn't be good if we just squatted everything we could squat and other people only had to profit from it. I think it's good that they also know that it takes energy to squat, because it's not easy, and if you already squatted something, then for example if the owner wants to kick you out, you still have to do stuff. So the people who are squatting, they have to realize that, well, if I'm gonna squat, it takes a lot of energy from me, and they have to do it from the beginning. So they cannot profit it by going into a squat which was already squatted by other people, and then think, well, I can live for free here. It doesn't work like that.
It's been squatted for like 15 years. It's the oldest squat in Eindhoven. Built everything themselves, not the houses, but the water, gas and the electricity is all from one house. And it's 4 houses with one garden. I actually live here for like since May 2008. It's my 13th.
13th.
Yeah. I can't stay in one place for a long time. I'm sort of a nomad. That's why squatting is really handy, or yeah, sort of handy for me. It's also political to have a kick against society, because a lot of people need houses. They have to wait for like 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years to get a house, and I don't want that. I don't need a place to stay for 7 years or for 2 years. I don't feel comfortable with that. So I live in squat because I can go and stay wherever I want. And mostly it's bigger, so you have a place to work and to live together. The whole squatting scene is sort of a community, because when something happens in the world squatting, it's not one squatter, it's always everybody. So when you do it, it has your actions react on every squatter in Holland. That's sort of, I think then it's sort of community, because you have to think about everybody. I prefer state houses, but it depends. You don't squat from somebody personally, I think. You look at when they gonna tear it down, or when it's empty for 2.5 years and it's a government building. I prefer to squat from them. I don't want to take somebody personally. Take something from somebody personally. I don't think that's nice. Then it would be stealing. I worked at the Peace Bureau for 2 years, and I even organized it. Organized protests against the war in Iraq, or we made, I think, one of the ways to reach people is by having fun. So organizing a party with a statement, and you just have fun without anyone saying that you can't. Your way, and I think actually that's the best way. I think to have fun.
Yeah, you said we could call the police and ask why they did it. It's a shame nobody was here when the police came.
Yeah.
So we can defend ourselves a little bit. Ja. Ja, het is de sleutel. Dan weer gestopt. Ja, denk wel. We zijn er mee te gaan.
End of story. Dat zijn de spullen.
What did they said?
Yeah, kicking us out, and we have to remove our stuff here.
Yeah, that's it. But I spoke to them after.
And what did they say?
They decided that it's too dangerous to live here. Even the part that the cow stable, the middle part is a little bit too dangerous.
Ja, sowieso, ja.
It will be probably very difficult to do something about this. Discussing if it's not better to put our energy in a new building.
Still first a little bit questioning around,
Yeah.
not like throw stuff out, okay, bye.
It's too easy.
Het punt is dat de politie nooit zal zeggen van ja, wij hebben dat gedaan want wij vinden dat dat moet. De politie zal zeggen, in opdracht eigenlijk van de overheid beschermen wij de veiligheid van jullie. En om die veiligheid te garanderen, jongen, hebben wij zelfs dingen gedaan die we misschien niet mogen, maar dat is alleen maar om te zorgen dat jij niet sneuvelt in een halfbakken pand ergens in Eindhoven. En die redenatie is heel moeilijk om eruit te halen. Dat is de kwestie. Kijk, want ze hebben letterlijk en figuurlijk zou je ze voor de rechter kunnen dagen. Dan zegt de politie van ja, wat hadden we dan moeten doen? En wat hadden wij te horen gekregen als het misgegaan was? Dat zit dus toch.
Ja, in principe van jullie spullen staan hier op straat.
Zoals mijn vriend Richard altijd zegt, je hebt gelijk, maar je lult. Ja, zo van, ja, wat moeten we dan met ons gelijk?
Ja.
Niks. Alleen dus, ja, dat is verrassend. Want dan hebben ze toch in overleg gezegd van, ja jongens, en snel, en meteen, en nu. En waarom dat ze dat zeggen, ja, waarschijnlijk. Ik ken Magda Debe van de gemeente, dat is een hele strenge tante. En als die tegen de politie zegt, en ik wil gewoon dat jullie nu ontruimen, want het is geen woonpand, dus er is geen reden om overleg te plegen, en zij eist dat, ja, dan doet de politie dat wel, want dan zijn ze hartstikke bang.
Find in every country that some cops are corrupt and they don't follow the law. And not only cops but also the Justice Department. There are a lot of people working there who think they have the right in their own hands and don't have to follow the law. So it happens a lot that if you squat a building, the cops will come and they kick you out or they do something illegal to evict you. And it happens quite a lot. It's not really clear why it happened. That's also always a question you also ask yourself if something like that happens. I always recommend people to stay in the place for at least 2 weeks, because then it's easier to get the answer for that question, because you are there at the moment something happens with the squad. So you know what is happening and perhaps also why it's happening. And the police only can go in when there's a really good reason, and to evict you or something like that without any legal base, they don't have any right to do it. So they first had to ask you, can we come in? And if you refused, then they weren't in a position to come in. So it's really illegal what they did.
My name is Grażyna Przybył, and I am a painter, and I write poetry and stories. I'm also a translator, and I am a Polish person from origin, but I live here in Holland for 17 years, and since 11 years I'm in the village. This village is Ruigoord. It is quoted 35 years ago. Now you are filming the place, which is the gallery. I made it last gallery. That's a portrait of mine, self-portrait, which I made last year. It started 2 years ago. And it is also connected with the story of the village, because once a year there is a Paradiso show. And there was one of the subjects of the Paradiso show a few years ago that was like Ark of Noah, when we made Ark of Ruigoord. What do we do if the water will be high? Then I thought, well, who will I take on Ark? And I will take a snake. So I made it, because that's a very old symbol in culture. So I just made a costume for a snake. In this case is cobra. And I was also busy last year with snake goddesses. Those paintings I started from 2001. The origin of this is I got visions because I was very ill. So I couldn't eat, and I couldn't sleep, and I thought it was really very bad. So lying on bed, I discovered that when I lie very quiet, then I started to see blue. Of course, I suppose I was hallucinating, but I discovered that is a nice way, because I don't have pain anymore. And then I also discovered that when lying completely quiet, I started to get those visions, and they were like kaleidoscopic visions. It came back, and I felt good seeing that. So I thought, well, maybe when I feel good, then other people will be feeling good as well, if they see that. But how can I explain them what I see? The only way is to just paint what I see.
Been coming to Ruigoord for a period of about 6-7 years, and from the first time I came here I thought, this place I would like to live. Well, I started working here and people offered me a place for trial, and after a few months, okay, now I'm part of the family. We have about 5 different festivals here on Ruigoord. There's a poetry festival, there's a reggae festival, there's our main festival called Langewel, and there are bands, performances, theater, workshops. We have trance parties, but we also have jazz afternoons, bookshops. Back in the 70s, they wanted to develop this whole area as an industrial zone, and it was all agricultural zone, so they started to put in sand to make it suitable for industrial. And then there were about 200 people living in this village, Ruigoord, and people were evicted. So their houses were to be broken down, and this was to be, disappeared. But then there were a few poets, artists that were connected to to the hippie movement, squatting movement. And they were at that time camping in the garden of the minister, you know, from the church. And at some point, the minister had to give the church the key of the church to the bishop because the church was going to be broken down. And he gave the key to the bishop, but he also left the door open for the hippie squatters. We were evicted 10 years ago, or they tried to evict us. And then, by some magic, there was an agreement that we could stay here. We rent Ruigoord for €1 a year, for all the houses, also for that same price altogether. We have a contract for a period now that's lasting another 5 years. Many years. I have a commercial training. I was a salesman, a sales representative. Later on, I became a financial advisor, and so I had to study a lot. I was doing the banking stuff, mortgages, taxes, stock stuff like that. And the more I studied about it, the more I knew about it, I found out that it's very commercial, and many insurance companies and banks are just making a bit of a fraud in my eyes. Just taking money from the people, that it's not good. So at one point I had to find out for myself to give another lifestyle. So I started wondering, lost the job because I was not motivated anymore. Lost my house, my income didn't get any benefit because I was not motivated anymore for that kind of lifestyle. So really looking where I felt better. Because I lost my house, why squatting? Oh, I have to get back to when I was about 10 years old, I think. And then the first houses in the Netherlands were to be squatted, 1971. In the primary school, we were warned for these squatters. They were dangerous people taking drugs and a lot of sex. And so it was about 100 meters from our school, so we were warned not to keep away from these squatters. So I went with two guys from my class to these squatters because I'm inventive, I'm curious, what are these people about? And I was always fascinated by this lifestyle of the squatters. What are they about? But it's also very difficult to understand it from the outside. When I moved to Amsterdam in 2000, I really got acquainted with the squatters community because I had a girlfriend who was an ex-squatter. And I liked it very much and when I came in squat, I was still dressed in a suit, with a tie and stuff like that. And they looked at me like, what, is he from police or whatever? For me, life is not more about money or prestige. I think squatting, less commercial, more about ideals. Yeah, I think that's the main reason.
Welkom in Ruigoord. Different techniques. It's a whole story. How you do it? Just practicing. Just try.
practicing. Putting pressure. You do things with singing you're not allowed to do with the singing techniques in Europe. They call it kopstem, head voice. It's old. It's many old. You find it in Africa, in South Africa. You find it all this in Pyrenees, overtone singing, Tibetan. Yeah.
This is not Mongolian.
It's really old. It's one of the oldest Mongolian songs.
Mongolian.
But the way of singing, yeah, the normal singing and the...
Well, you
ADM is more technical art, because they have this very good festival all about robotics. And here it's more different kinds of, not so technical as they are.
My name is Wilbjörk. I live in Amsterdam for a long time, but I come from Denmark. I live here in and out for 11 years, and sometimes I lived other places. That was when it was squatted 11 years ago. We were in a very big building which is close to the center, which is called the Silo. We were gonna get evicted and we were looking for another place, and some people had recommended this place. The advice came from sort of inside the city, and this place was squatted together with many more people, people with boats and other people. There was a lot of help from the city because the owner of this place at that time, now it's in the hands of his sons because he's dead, but it was like a really famous, huge mafia person, was famous for coming and beating up the squatters himself. What he also tried to do, that's why the corner of the building is missing and rebuilt. Nothing is okay. It's like some people try to make contracts with the city, and the contracts are really weird and floating in the air, and because there are different laws for water and land and buildings, and to make sure that the boats could stay here longer. Then some contracts were made which actually should finish in January 2010. Mm-hmm. And whether this actually has any meaning or not, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Why I live in squat? Well, I like to have space, I like to have people, and I like to live so I don't have to work all the time and pay the rent to do noise in the middle of the morning and night or whatever, and not to live like in a normal house with it. And to work together with people around me. Yeah.
It's a long time living in this IDM.
4 or 6 years, something like this.
And you?
Half a year, something like that. Milada. Check. Check Republic.
Okay.
One squatting house. How long I live in squats? It's like for 2 years, something like this. Yeah, and why? Because I get angry to pay to my for my basic needs like food, like living space, and so on. And yeah, the squats gives me space to self-realization, to feel sort of freedom, to do whatever I want with my life. It's a very nice place here at ADM, like a lot of technician people, a lot of artistic people. Here you need permission to make a party. Here you have permission to whatever you're doing, just basically whatever you're doing, you need permission, you know. And yeah, they don't like us to make things without permission and without control from them. So yeah, it's like tendency in Western Europe and Northwest, and like to evict squads and independent thinking people, you know. And we can see it here in Amsterdam. 5 years ago there were a lot of squads in Amsterdam, not anymore. There were a lot of places with independent people, independent culture, a lot of artists. Yeah, you can take a look at NDSM, which used to be squat, you know, and then they get rid of it. They started to control it and started to make contracts with people who lives there or who makes their art or whatever. It's not independent anymore.
Years old, this car. This one is burned on the inside, the cabin. So I could buy it for less, but the motor is okay. And yeah, the hood is already taken off, and on my car it's the same one. Volvo, this one is 1965 and mine is 1964. The cars are both very old, so you need parts, and it's very difficult to get parts. Not so difficult, but then you have to pay a lot. And now I buy the whole car, and then I have all the pieces I need, the parts. I live here now since 2000. I like the people and the things they do all kinds of things with cars, you see, whatever.
How many people live here?
Around 100. They are not all here because they are also traveling a lot or have with the theater or dance or whatever. 100 people is much to have as friends, but I speak with all of them actually. Yeah, it's something important to do. Then there's a meeting, and there are different meetings. There are boat meetings, house meetings. Yeah, and it works. I live on a boat. Nice. It's nice to live on a boat. I lived all my life on a boat, so I try to live in a house, but it's nothing for me. I have to live on a boat with water around.
Okay.
That's originally a binnenvaartschip.
Ja, een vrachtschip, sailing boat in the past. There was no motor in. I put a motor in. Want to come in?
Okay.
Kind of a working space. You can look this. You see the iron and the clinks. This part is where I live. This is painted by a friend of me, and he likes to paint, but he needs a picture. So I gave him a picture of my dog and my ship, and he makes a painting of it. And this is also painted from a painter who is not living here, but coming here often. And this is just a picture, and that one is painted by the father of my neighbor. And our boats are on. That was on the situation from 2 years ago. You are on the other side. It's a nice thing. If you go, you take your house with you.
And how does it work? You can stay in places maximum for 3 weeks?
Yeah, that is different. But normally, if you go somewhere, then if you not go to a yacht haven, then you have to pay a lot. Then you have to pay 30 or 20 or 40 euros for a night.
Really?
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
So I stay outside, and
this is normally for free.
And then it is for free. Here on the IJsselmeer, all these places, you stay outside, put an anchor under, and then if you want to go to the shore, you go with a small boat, rowing or motor, and then it is nice.
Ari.
Anti-squat is a Dutch way of preventing squatters to live in empty buildings. I think it started as a reaction against squatting. A lot of owners of buildings are afraid that squatters get into their empty buildings. So to prevent them from that, they ask people to live in those empty buildings temporarily, and by that reason squatters are not allowed to use those buildings. It's not that I support a strong idea with it. It's from the main reason for me is that renting a house is very expensive in the Netherlands, and especially on the private market. If you want a house in the Netherlands by the social system, you will have to wait up to anything between 5 and 10 years before the government can give you a house for rent or a room for rent. Those are reasons that I came in contact with anti-squatting organizations, because they can often organize a place to live on short notice, and the fees they ask for it are very low. So it's not that it's an idealistic way of living, not at all. It's mainly a financial reason. I understand the reason why anti-squatting is existing. I mean, I'm not against squatting, but I understand that for owners of buildings, it's not always very helpful when there are squatters in your building. So it helps me to get a cheap house. It helps them to be able to do with that building whenever they want to do it, because one of the backdraws of anti-squatting is that they can kick me out in 2 weeks. So that's a very short time, and you cannot do that with squatters.
Anti-squat is when a building, it can be living for a living or just for office. If it's empty, they are afraid that squatters is coming into the building and tear it apart, or I don't know. So they rent some people and they put it in the building, and they live there, so that there's no squat or no criminal activities. So it's they have control over it. So they can watch us. So we have signed a big contract. We can do actually nothing. They can do this and we get out. So they have control of what happens over here. If they're a squad, they have to just accept what happens. We actually don't get to give parties here. If you give a party, that's for them a reason to get us out of here. Actually, it's just a contract with everything we can do. So with every slight little thing, they can get us out of here. So it's €100 a month. And I had a discussion with Maarten, but why anti-squat and why not just squat? But it's just we're on a list. If you this is gonna be turned down. We could now just to squat it, but if it's got turned down, we gotta look for something else. If this got to turned down, we're on top of that list, and then whenever something comes up in the neighborhood in Eindhoven, we get the house. So it's just we don't have to do anything for it. Just we were always assured of a house or a place to live. So it's more secure, more. It's more easy actually. You don't have to do anything for it. But it is €100 a month, and yeah. But if you compare it with a student apartment, it's really cheap, so I can live with it.
Our new home.
Смотри, какой постер. О, сори, кто там?
It's if the police come and try to kick us out, maybe it's good if you film it.
Okay.
So we have proof what they do.
Yeah, but initially don't fill them with the light. I mean,
Been here for 1 year that nobody was in this.
Somebody asked
used it.
us about it.
It's different than
We
been
have
here.
put it here. Huh?
If you just come to collect the stuff.
How you know this?
Usage.
There was a date on the paper.
No, my dad teaches here.
Ah,
For
okay.
20 years, so when I have a day off, and as a little kid, I go with him.
Why they closed?
It's got too small. We are more students, and so they go to a whole new place in the other side of the Volkswagen. There's a kindergarten 2 streets that way, so I don't know that they could use it, but I think they're planning to tear it down.
Hey, when the police will come, don't smoke, please.
Okay.
They call already?
Yeah.
So we're waiting.
Yeah, we're ready.
Nothing. They didn't have time.
No, but we gave a phone number and names. And have a little chat. But they were okay, I think.
Waar ging het over?
So it's always like the official part passed or not?
No, because they have to come inside.
Okay.
To check.
What did they advise?
Ja, de gemeente zegt how to talk to the city of Valkenswaard.
Okay, and what
yeah.
did they advise? How to talk?
Yeah, that we have to research our law case and
Don't talk, just shoot.
Die moeten dus een rapport uit gaan brengen. Hun moeten dus wat informatie doorgeven aan een andere groep mensen en die moeten een beslissing geven. Maar hij zat echt best duidelijk te hinten en door te geven dat hij echt een positieve bericht ging geven. Ja, dat is eigenlijk wel goed nieuws. En ze vroeg van hoe we binnengekomen waren. Wij hebben gezegd van ja, we hebben die sleutel, we hebben zelf de sleutel gemaakt. We hebben gewoon de slot bekeken en je kon heel goed zien hoe die hoofdjes moesten zitten. Maar ze waren best niet geïnteresseerd gewoon uit de menselijke gebeuren, zeg maar. En die sleutel laten zien, vonden ze keivet. En ook nog tips geven, ja, je kan als je zo'n sleutelnummer, originele sleutel hebt, dan kun je dat nummer opzoeken en dan kun je dat daar. Dus ja, dat ging echt boven verwachting.
For me, the first time was last year, around this time, the 11th of November last year. There was a group in Amsterdam squatting a piece of land somewhere in the neighborhood here. The situation there was that they demolished some houses where squatters lived in, but they didn't do anything with it, so it was for nothing. And as an action, we squatted the ground. This form of actions, squatting pieces of ground with a caravan, that it evolves from the 90s. And in the 90s already, like in 93, 94, there's already a group of squatters doing this, protesting against the demolition of social housing in the neighborhood. There was a school building empty here for a year, and we wanted to squat this school building to make a big place to live in a social center. And the government found out about the plans to squat this, so they demolished the school building. And just to tell them that they don't get rid of us that easy, we squatted this ground, so that's how we already knew it, because we wanted to squat the building it was on. After they demolished it, it was empty for 2 years, the piece of ground, and then we occupied it. And since they don't really have a concrete plan right now for this ground, we don't expect to have any problems with them for now. And they didn't actually contact us at all. We are here 5 months. And we didn't hear anything from the owner or the city government. Squatting is not only a way to supply yourself with a living space, it's also a way to protest against things. The formula of squatting a piece of ground in the middle of a neighborhood is that you have an open microphone always. When you're in a building, there's a wall between you. They cannot see what you are doing, and you cannot communicate with them that easy. But here, the neighborhood walks past the fence all the time, and they see us busy doing stuff, and that's our moment to approach them and to tell our story and to explain them why we do this. And for that, because we have the climate action, we squatted this, and we wanted to have a place where we can show the neighborhood the alternative way of living that we are promoting, instead of only attacking the big polluters like coal energy centers, coal plants, nuclear plants, oil companies. Obviously we need to attack them, and we want to change that system, and we want to take it apart. But also we want to already start building on another way of living. So that's why we choose not for a comfortable home, which is much warmer, but for this action in the middle of a neighborhood. This caravan is not really for living in, it's for barricading. Right. So what we did, as you can see here, is this outside metal pipe. We welded it to the chassis, to the basis construction, metal construction of the caravan. And this pipe is actually 3 meters long, and this is the guidance. And this pipe we just hammered into the ground for about 2.5–3 meters, and we did this everywhere. So we did this in a lot of different directions. One over there, one over there. There's one over here. And in this way the caravan is actually totally anchored in the ground in all different directions for like 3 meters deep into the ground. This is like the first thing that you want to do if you squat a piece of ground, and this is the hardest way. Like if you squat a house, you can easily barricade the house and make the first moment that they come and they want to evict you difficult for them. So like usually when you squat in Holland, it's like the case is to blast for the first few days or weeks or hours. And if you squat a piece of ground, they can quite easily just enter the ground and drag you off it. And to prevent this, we took a caravan, barricaded it with these things, and made the lock-ons. I don't know if you know this concept, but it's a way of having a big metal pipe where you can stick your arm in, and then you have a little chain around the wrist, which you connect to the middle of the pipe where there's a bar sitting. So in this way you are chained to something which people cannot make loose without opening the tube with an angle grinder. So this takes them a lot of time. They need special teams to do this. And In that way you can make sure that it's not so attractive to evict you, and in that way also getting a lot of people here. You know, if you get some time, everybody gets mobilized, they come here, they protect the place for you. Also we put one tree house in the tree. Also because of this, you know, they need to get a big ladder, they need to get a fire brigade or whoever here to help them with getting in the tree, climbing team, and in that way you just make it as unattractive as possible for them to evict you. Until now we only have very good reactions, also because the neighborhood really doesn't agree with the way that it's going around this piece of ground. They feel that the government is toying with them, is messing with them. They feel that the owner, the school that they want to build, is also not communicating with them and not listening to their wants, because what they want to build here is going to be, they wanted to build here was going to be very, very big, and there wouldn't be any light left for the houses and for the gardens over there. And they were already protesting against this, so in that way we are just supporting each other's protest.
I saw the website. The building of the house is very good.
For them it looks really fluffy, which it is of course, but at the same time we're quite militant and we will fight for this place if they want to evict us. We want to be independent of the state and the capital and the big corporations. We are not going to wait for them to make a sustainable alternative, because they won't. So we want to be completely independent. And in that way we started with just sand, only sand here, there was nothing. And if you want to develop a new way of living, you need to start from every aspect in life. So housing, heating, cooking, food supply, energy, transport. And for all of these aspects of life we're trying to find a solution here. So we live, our energy comes from some solar collectors, some solar panels. And right now we collect the groundwater and the raining water, which we cannot drink yet, but we want to build a natural water filter for this, using gravel and sand and water plants. We have compost, we have a lot of food gardens. In that way we want to be as independent as possible from present society and capitalism. Here is vegetarian. Not everybody is vegan, but there's no way of eating meat and eating animals that is sustainable. Just because 1 kilo of meat takes so much more, it takes the same amount of land that you need to produce 10 kilos of vegetables. So if everybody eats meat, part of the world will starve from hunger. And also it takes so much more energy to produce meat, so meat is always polluting the environment, and the amount of meat that we eat will always drain our resources. So part of cutting down our energy waste and our energy consumption will mean not eating meat. So we are part of Groen Front, which is, it literally means Green Front. It's the Dutch version of Earth First. And Earth First is a worldwide name that's been used worldwide by activists to protect the nature. In Holland there's a campaign from Earth First that basically says shrink or drown, because we are below sea level. If climate change sets in, we are going to drown, because our land will flood. And what we're telling the people is that of course we need to look at green alternatives, as in solar energy, wind energy, local food, etc. But we shouldn't think that we can keep on living like we do. We are right now using too much resources, and the amount of energy that we consume right now we won't be able to support this with wind and solar energy. So we need to shrink down, and also this growth economy ideal, it will just destroy everything around it, not only the climate. So we want to stop the growth of the economy, we want to stop this economy and build a totally different thing for this. And basically this means that everybody needs to give away their luxury and start living really basic. We want to show the people, hey, we're not only against this stuff, because they know anarchists as being against a lot of things, but we also want to have a place where we can show them what we are in favor of, what we are actually promoting. Like, we're not only kicking the system, we're trying to build a better future.
Вообще-то всю жизнь я мечтала стать фотографом. Но мои родители заставили меня изучать математику и программирование. Поэтому теперь занимаюсь электронным микроскопом. Там тоже есть картинки. И это меня очень радует. Но все-таки у меня есть планы в будущем переквалифицироваться в фотографа. Во-первых, интересный опыт сквотирования. А во-вторых, я вижу для себя возможность тут создания фотостудии. Но мне хотелось бы организовать какое-то пространство, где можно заниматься творчеством, куда я буду привозить какие-то материалы, может быть, одежду, аксессуары, организовывать тут какие-то пространства.
Пока идиоты стоят в одиночных пикетах, толкают на Красную площадь коляски с младенцами, самосжигаясь во славу красного гетто. На аллее свободы ждут и вечной аудиенции. Правильные люди рубят на протесте деньги. Борцы политкапитала, армия мира, все остальные интеллектуальные калеки, не способные найти себе командира. Дурак-идеалист держит 6 транспаранта, выбитая челюсть, стоимость его протеста. Наблюдающий за арестом получает гранты. Для здоровья второе более чем полезно. Правильные люди косят на протесте евро. Посвятим нашу песню борцам с кровавым режимом, главным, старейшим, опытным, первым, монолитным, гранитным и нерушимым. Всем башкам иерархий, организаций и не заинтересованным в результате, главным режиссером потемкинских акций, говорящих на камеру тем, кто заплатит. работать. Любой инфоповод, статейка, подкрепляющая сумму. Если нет ведьм, то кто же оплатит охоту? Если нет врага для продажи, его надо придумать. Вам, грызущим горло друг другу за место предателя, считающим после расстрела отверстия в стенке. Респект, в Освенциме должен быть свой наблюдатель. В каждом заборе должен быть свой Ниненко. А если в паспорте написано Палах или Каланта, ничего не делай, не снижай нам тарифы. Но намекали же тебе, что платят только за мигрантов. Не веди наш корабль, антифа приживалок на рифы. Ограничься бумагой, как все правильные люди. Пусть свобода стоит в сторонке, мы знаем методу. Как сделать так, что свободы больше не будет? Как отодвинуть ее подальше, эту свободу? Правильные люди рубят на протесте деньги. Борцы политкапитала, армия мира. Все остальные интеллектуальные коллеги, не способные найти в себе командира.